Yo, what up? What up, man? Got quite a surprise for y'all today. Amal, what up, man? Yo, when I got sent this, I couldn't believe this shit here. Stefan, what up? Yeah, I was in shock. Yeah, I was in shock when I got this one. See who else we got in here, man. See who else hit that bell. It don't matter. What up, man? Why am I hitting that? We're not about to roast. We're not about to roast this person. Jermaine Taylor, what up, man? Cam, what up? Distant Rose, what up? No, it's not gonna be a roast. It's not gonna be a roast. Lion, what up, man? Going to pull this video up. A few more y'all get in here, man. We're gonna go ahead and start to cook. Not to be confused with roast. Science guy, what up, man? Not to be confused with roast. It's definitely not gonna be a roast. Very surprising campaign platform. What? Lion writes, you know we're in the last days when Richard Spencer is saying that white supremacist rhetoric isn't enough. No, it's not enough. It's not enough for a lot of reasons. It's not enough because white supremacist rhetoric most of the time has no nuance when it comes to history, the political climate, or reality. And another reason that it's not enough is because most of those people who run around with those talking points don't even live what they say. You know what I'm saying? Half of the motherfuckers walking around talking all that white supremacist shit got a black girlfriend or an Asian girlfriend. So they couldn't be that serious. The average damn white supremacist got an Asian girlfriend. So why should any of the youth come into their movement find credibility in them? Lend anything they're saying credence. Yeah, it's lacking in history. You know what? A lot of times white supremacist talking points can be debunked just by talking about freedmen's villages. That's a common debate tactic of mine. Any damn near any white supremacist talking point that you can come up with, you can debunk it with freedmen's villages. Oh, black people are too stupid to build things. Freedmen's villages. Oh, black people don't know how to run their own economy. Freedmen's villages. Black people don't know how to live around each other without murdering each other. Freedmen's villages. Black people are lazy. Freedmen's villages. Black people never built anything. Freedmen's villages. Freedmen's villages. It gets them every time. It's nothing. It's nothing they can say to respond to that. Freedmen's villages. But you can also use the existence of freedmen's villages to debunk their notions of intellectual superiority, because y'all say that y'all desire a whole separate geographic area of land where white people can exist on their own. But when y'all had that, y'all went and burnt down them freedmen's villages only to complain about having to live around niggas decades later. So y'all couldn't be that smart, could y'all? Because y'all didn't have foresight. Freedmen's villages. Simple. It's so simple. It's so motherfucking simple. So simple. All right, man. Y'all ain't gonna believe this, man. Let me clear this screen up for y'all. Okay. About to share the screen. All right. This is a candidate for the Illinois Senate named Pamela Denise Long. Right? Not that bad, actually. Y'all know I like dark meat.
Hey, yo, did this goofy ass motherfucker right here just compliment that female? You're a simp! You're a simp! Goofy ass nigga! You're a goofy ass nigga! This simp ass nigga had the audacity to call that bitch pretty!
All right. This is Pamela Denise Long.
I'm Pamela Denise Long, Republican candidate for U.S. Senate to serve all of Illinois. From small towns to city streets, I'll fight for safer communities, secure borders now, and for years to come.
I already investigated that. She is not a tether. She is a Black American through and through. Matter of fact, she traces her father's lineage back 7 generations. She's a Black American. No tethering here. No tethering here. No.
Lower taxes, strong schools, and your freedom to speak and worship. Let's bring honor and solutions back to Washington. I'm Pamela Denise Long, candidate for U.S. Senate. I approve and authorize this message. Paid for by Long for Senate 2026.
Hey. I'm saying that now. Watch this. Watch this. Y'all see what that says? And that don't mean you can't make a small dollar donation to her campaign, even from where you at, Tech Boy, for all of y'all. Do y'all see what that says? Let me remind you, this is a GOP candidate. Do y'all see what that says? Y'all see what the screen says? The fiscal and patriotic case for reparations to American freedmen, Pamela Denise Long. And she wrote this back in 2014. Oh, no, that's just a copyright. Okay. I don't know when she wrote it. Y'all, let's get off into this. The fiscal and patriotic case for reparations to American freedmen is astounding. American freedmen are those multi-generational Americans who descend from the 4 million people emancipated via America's Civil War, those people who are the descendants of U.S. slaves. First, let's be clear that the reparations to American freedmen were promised by the federal government and was not fully delivered due to government takeover by Confederates plus others. Since foreigners, first to third generation immigrants, and even multi-generational American citizens have something to say against reparations to American freedmen, let's talk about it. Black Americans are most likely to be fired for nonsensical reasons and not hired in the first place due to name discrimination and general anti-Black American bias. This includes all hiring managers, white, Black, Asian, immigrant, etc., all except Black American leaders. A white convict is more likely to be hired than a Black man with a degree. At the same time, the U.S. funnels Black men into prisons disproportionately for petty crimes like weed possession. Damn, I gotta create an account to read the whole fucking thing. So this right here represents probably the beginning of a sea change. Now, the reason that I felt like I had to do a story about this is because if you can get one GOP candidate to take this position in states that were formerly blue that are becoming swing states, and especially in states where they just had their maps redrawn, were redistricting, right? And you have new seats that are coming up that are in play, then maybe this is something that we can spread. I don't know whether or not y'all are going to like her as a candidate. So far, I do. I don't know if y'all are going to like her as a candidate. But if other candidates start to adopt this platform as well, this could mean a destiny changing event for many so-called Black Americans. Right? Oh yeah, tellers are gonna be real angry about this. Now I want to see what a lot of tellers that's on the GOP side, like Winsome Sears, Byron Donald, right? I want to see what would they have to say about this. I'll be real curious to see what they have to say about this. Right? Like I said, it doesn't matter whether or not you like this particular candidate. But if she sees and the Republican Party sees an increase in her donation pool from this, then yeah, this is going to be something that's going to be catchy. Yeah, we know that tether ass nigga won't like this. We know he won't. Don't y'all think it's strange when you find out that the immediate family of a person that claims to be an American citizen, and then you find out that one of their parents issued a social security card until they was damn near 20? Ain't that kind of strange? Am I the only one that finds that strange? I couldn't be. Just saying. More on that later. But this is very, very important. This is very important. This might be one of the most, if not the most important political story that I've reported on while I've been doing YouTube. To hear a GOP candidate take up such an originalist position. Because remember, Abraham Lincoln's vice president, Andrew Johnson, that cut the reparations off, he was a Democrat. That's what she's referring to in this article. That's what she's referring to. That's what she was referring to. Jesus. That's what she was referring to. Yep. Right about that, Illmatic. Meanwhile, Kamala said she wouldn't do anything for black people. That's what she said. Now, you can't just ask me to do something, especially for black people now. That's what she said. She told you, matter of fact, she even code switched up and told you in your own Ebonic slang that she not finna do a motherfucking thing for you. Rodimus Rice, that reminds me, aren't they going to run Kamala again for the next presidency? I hope she loses yet again. Yeah, they gonna run her again. And the efforts to steal the election. Matter of fact, I'm gonna just go ahead and tell y'all it's a great possibility that the 2028 election will be stolen. Just so y'all be mentally prepared for it. Just so y'all be mentally prepared for it. Now, this woman that's running, she's running against Raja Krishnamurti. Hit y'all with this ad again right quick.
Of Illinois. From small towns to city streets, I'll fight for safer communities, secure borders now, and for years to come. Lower taxes, strong schools, and your freedom to speak and worship. Let's bring honor and solutions back to Washington. I'm Pamela Denise Long, candidate for U.S. Senate. I approve and authorize this message. Paid for by Long for Senate 2026.
Matter of fact, let's see if she has any more ads and interviews. Why don't we? Let's see if she has any more ads and interviews.
I'll fight for safer communities, secure borders now, and for years to come. Lower taxes, strong schools, and your freedom.
Well, what the hell? Oh, well, let's go check out she actually got a YouTube channel. What the hell? Wait a minute. Look at this. Political analysis from a radical Republican perspective. Damn, she really is an originalist. That's a term straight out of the history books. Damn.
So the story of Miss Dakara Thompson and her brutal assault and murder by an illegal alien is making its way across social media. And I want to thank the doctor for elevating Dakara's story and for rightly calling out the ways that elected officials have protested the arrest, detention, and deportations of illegal aliens while having zero accountability for the illegal aliens who have murdered, maimed, or otherwise harmed American citizens. Dakara is one of many. Here in the state of Illinois, we have several young women in 2025 who were murdered and or otherwise, killed or found dead on the properties even. We have Megan Boss, who was found dead on the property of an illegal alien in the Chicago area. I had the opportunity to talk with her mother last fall while on the campaign trail, and the sadness and grief that she feels from her elected officials not representing her and her family is sad to me, and it has to change. We have two young women in Middle Illinois, Central Illinois, who were killed in a car accident from another illegal alien. And drunk driving seems to be one of those areas in which illegal aliens often find themselves harming American citizens.
It's hundreds of them every day. She ain't lying right there. It's hundreds of them every day. They love getting behind the wheel drunk.
And it made me think about the fact that the elected officials here in the state of Illinois have really given up on their job of protecting Illinoisans. We have Governor Pritzker and his Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton, who are overseeing a sanctuary state. We have Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago, who is overseeing a sanctuary city and even attempted to tax Chicagoans more because they wasted all that money on illegal aliens. And then even at the federal level, when it came to voting for the Laken-Riley Act, federal officials threw Illinoisans under the bus. Raja Krishnamurthy voted against the Laken-Riley Act. Robin Kelly in the House voted against the Laken-Riley Act. Both U.S. senators for the state of Illinois, Dick Durbin and Tammy Duckworth, voted against the Laken-Riley Act. And let's take a look at what the Laken-Riley Act does. Basically what it does is gives the United States an authority you would think that we already have, but explicitly gives the federal government the right to detain and deport, as well as to have some injunctive relief, financial penalties. So the story of Miss Dakara Thompson and her brutal assault. The interview that Tucker Carlson had with James Fishback, a candidate for governor in Florida. And in that conversation, Tucker and James were talking about heritage Americans and what that means. Part of that conversation was about a 13-minute dialogue about foundational Black Americans or legacy Black Americans. Basically, they're talking.
Y'all heard that, right?
The interview that Tucker Carlson had with James Fishback, a candidate for governor in Florida. And in that conversation, Tucker and James were talking about heritage Americans and what that means. Part of that conversation was about a 13-minute dialogue about foundational Black Americans or legacy Black Americans. Basically, they're talking about folks who are the descendants of the founding Black population and how important our fight has been, our multi-year fight to make sure that we put Americans first. You need to pay good and close attention to that conversation because that is going to be the winning factor for this Illinois U.S. Senate race and for saving this nation. In that conversation, Tucker and James were talking about how us in the lineage community, how we in the lineage community have a unique equity in America and how we have been pushing back on new arrivals coming into the nation and co-opting our human and civil rights struggle, as well as the set-asides that the country saw fit.
Remember I told y'all about that Office of Refugee Resettlement. That's what she referring to.
To designate for legacy Black Americans specifically. So for those people in the Illinois GOP or the so-called, disruptors and rhino hunters and all of that, those folks are leading Illinois voters down a path to losing this U.S. Senate race. The lineage-based fight that we have waged for years has already been in the mainstream, partly through my work with Newsweek, my media appearances in Black media, as well as Fox News, Epoch Times, and the like. The point being, heritage and legacy is the way forward for Americans first. And for those of you who aren't hip to what it means when I am talking about legacy and lineage-based investments for Americans, you need to look at that episode of Tucker Carlson's show with James Fishback and understand what it is going to take to win elections in the United States. The game has changed. The calculus for winning has changed. It is about heritage. It is about legacy. It is about lineage.
And tangibles.
It is about Americans first and the unique equity that those of us Americans who've built this nation have, and how Americans first restores our country. In the interview that Tucker Carlson had.
Streamers, if you're only going live on one platform.
So let's talk for a minute about mandatory term limits. You may have noticed that the establishment has been all over the idea of imposing mandatory term limits through an Article 5 convention and or through Congress proposing and passing a constitutional amendment. Your alarm system should be going off in your head that the establishment is trying to impose this upon you. Here's what you should know. Whenever you give up your freedom to decide, you are giving up power of the citizen to the establishment. Imagine this. You think that mandatory term limits will get rid of the elected officials who aren't doing what you want them to do. The reality is, mandatory term limits will also force the officials who are adequately, sufficiently, and robustly representing your interest and going against the establishment. It will kick them out automatically, whether you want them gone or not. So mandatory term limits are a trade-off between choice and not doing the work to vet candidates from the beginning, not through asking your friends who you should vote for, not through asking the PCs, the precinct committeemen, who they like, but you doing the work, you figuring out where a candidate came from, if they're a ghost candidate or a Manchurian candidate, looking at their platforms, looking at their history, looking at their background, and knowing if in this moment they are what you need. But with mandatory term limits, when your adequate, sufficient, and even outstanding representative has to leave office, the establishment has more money and connections and zeal and intent to control than you can even imagine. They will simply erect another candidate, wait you out, and place their new shill in office. That's how politics works. So whenever the establishment seems to be giving you something that you've asked for, you need to always be thinking down the road, what are the negative, unintended consequences of this apparent gift? Because you never know, it might just be a Trojan horse.
Yep.
Not only can imagine it, but I can feel it, I can smell it, I can taste it. It is beyond time for Illinois to come back to the Republican Party, the land of Lincoln, to come back home, for common sense even, to come back to the U.S. Senate and the state of Illinois. It's going to take work, but I'm not afraid of that. It took some work to get us here, off course, with Americans Last, with us being overtaxed, with education failing our students, and I'm excited about the potential. Not only can imagine it, but I can.
So now switching to birthright citizenship. Birthright citizenship comes in two flavors, if you will. There's birthright citizenship by birth on soil, and then there's citizenship by blood. So what we have in the United States is birth by soil. If you are under the commonly accepted, and I'm making the sarcastic air quotes, commonly accepted understanding of the 14th Amendment, anyone that is born in the United States is a U.S. citizen. So this is what we're talking about tonight with regards to executive orders.
So citizenship by blood, because the people, or at least one person you were born to, is a U.S. citizen, and then citizenship by being birthed on the land, which is you were born within the United States borders and therefore are considered a citizen.
So now switching to birthright citizenship. Birthright citizenship comes in two flavors, if you will. There's executive orders are basically they're orders from the chief executive, the president, that affect the departments and agencies that they are responsible for overseeing. So executive orders essentially have the effect of law and are intended to be based on laws, policies, or government-wide regulations. But they have to be legal in nature, ideally, and otherwise they're subject to injunctions from courts. But they're written by the executive office of the president, signed by the president, and then distributed to the departments and agencies for action as necessary. So executive orders are basically they're
marketing is easy.
So now switching to birthright.
People often talk about, and I do as well, this 400 years of slavery. That is including the time where Britain, the British Empire, began its foray into the New World in the United States, but quite specifically in terms of reparations from the United States of America, we're talking 1776, the Declaration of Independence, to 1865 for slavery. We're talking that 1865 to 1965 lynching, Jim Crow, legalized segregation era and unconstitutional discrimination, because after 1865, or after emancipation and after the 15th Amendment, we had all the laws on the books that we needed in order for our human and citizenship rights to be acknowledged. We're also talking 1965 to present, which is what the UN has deemed, if you will, the United States for. People often talk about, and I do as well, this 400 years of slavery. That is including the time where Britain, the British Empire, began its foray into the New World in the United States, but quite specifically in terms of reparations from the United States of America, we're talking 1776, the Declaration of Independence, to 1865 for slavery. We're talking that 1865 to 1965 lynching, Jim Crow, legalized segregation era and unconstitutional discrimination, because after 1865, or after emancipation and after the 15th Amendment, we had all the laws on the books that we needed in order for our human and citizenship rights to be acknowledged. We're also talking 1965 to present, which is what the UN has deemed, if you will, the United States for. People often talk about, and I do as well, this 400 years of slavery. That is including the time where I do not necessarily describe myself as an expert on reparations. I would say that I'm definitely a student of history, and I'm an interventionist as a healthcare practitioner, an educator, and I am always interested as a citizen of my nation, as well as, a human being living in this world amongst others, to understand how we can capitalize on and replicate what is working in our societies. And so, with that, I come to this work around reparations with a heart and mind of curiosity, and always thinking about what is most efficient, what is most effective to educate ourselves, as well as changing the systems that impact us all. I do not necessarily describe myself as an expert on reparations. I would say that I'm definitely a student of history, and I'm an interventionist as a healthcare practitioner, an educator, and I am always interested as a citizen of my nation, as well as, a human being living in this world amongst others, to understand how we can capitalize on and replicate what is working in our societies. And so, with that, I come to this work around reparations with a heart and mind of curiosity, and always thinking about what is most efficient, what is most effective to educate ourselves, as well as changing the systems that impact us all. I do not necessarily describe myself as an expert on reparations. I would say that I'm definitely a student of history.
All right. So y'all see her platform, and like I said, hopefully this is going to become a model, and this is going to become a norm for GOP candidates in the future. That's why I'm putting the spotlight on her. Hopefully, because whenever I do some shit, the bigger channels always pick it up. So hopefully the bigger channels will pick this up and spread her message, and other GOP candidates start to reflect the same message, right? And maybe just maybe we can drown out all of these fucking tethers and all of these shields, right? Because the political scene is overrun by tethers on both sides, and people just look at them just off a straight skin color basis, and they don't differentiate what a Republican Party is with the interview that she just mentioned with Tucker Carlson. they start to differentiate. And those tellers that's on the Republican side have better take note. Have better start taking note. You know, matter of fact, I hope that this message is more widely disseminated. This could be a major weapon for the midterms coming up. Because really, the nation, and especially so-called black people, we can't afford to let the Democrats take the midterms. Because even if you are a black person that have been a Democrat, they are going to specifically punish black people if they get back into power. If they can take the presidency back, they are specifically going to punish black people. Specifically. That's part of what they was doing during the Biden administration when they let all them illegals over here. They were punishing you. They were punishing you for not having the desired participation levels in the 2016 election. They was punishing you for that shit. So imagine how they gonna punish you, all of the stored up resentment for not getting the vote out for Biden, for not really getting the vote out with Kamala Harris, and then for delineating and telling these tellers, nah, fuck you, and then for exposing all of the tellers that caucus with the CBC. Oh, they got a lot. They got a bone to pick with you niggas when they get back in power. They got a bone to pick with you niggas when they get back in power. Trust that. Trust that. So if anybody that's on the fence here, man, I hope you wake up soon. Because they go punish y'all asses when they get back in. You think it's hard for you to get a job now? Wait till they get back in. Let them get back in and see what happens. But this is Pamela Denise Long. Like I said, go check out her platform. Here, let me go back to the header of her YouTube channel.
So today we're here in front of the Dirksen Federal Building in Chicago. We're calling attention to recent immigration proposals from Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy, his high-skilled Immigration Reform Act, ironically called the HIRE Act, and Dick Durbin's proposal for amnesty for illegal aliens. We're calling attention to the fact that Krishnamurthy's proposal...
You see what she's saying right there? That's why niggas can't break into tech jobs right there. You heard what she just said? Listen.
Doubles H-1B visas, increasing the United States' reliance upon imported workers, and Dick Durbin's proposal for an amnesty for illegal aliens prioritizes illegal entry over the very people that both Durbin and Raja Krishnamurthy were elected to represent. As you know, Black unemployment is the highest amongst big cities in Chicago. Black unemployment is second only to that of Kentucky. These proposals put Black workers further at the back of the line. And I'm saying today out loud what many are whispering: Black Chicago has had enough of being placed at the back of the line. We're demanding fair representation, full representation, and representation that listens. We've had enough with mass legal and illegal immigration. Black Chicago is ready for new leadership that puts Americans first. My name is Dr. Pamela Denise Long, Republican candidate for United States Senate. My proposal is to implement a native-born labor sourcing plan that makes sure that Chicagoans of all races, all genders, both genders, and ethnicities are put first in our labor sourcing in STEM as well as other high demand careers. Find out more about my campaign, my Americans First campaign, at www.longforsenate2026.com. That's LON.
See that? And you wonder, and wait a minute. They've been telling niggas, oh, go get a degree, go learn computers. And then when you start learning computers, they give your jobs away to illegal aliens. They give your jobs away to illegal aliens.
FOR Senate 2026.com. Join me in this movement to set our country straight so that all Americans are put first. We are out here at the Dirksen Federal Building talking about the recent proposal from U.S. Congressman Raja Krishnamoorthi proposing that we need to basically increase the number of work visas, H-1B visas, that we know displace American workers. And Black Chicago has really talked to us about the impact that that has on them and their communities. I'm joined here by Patricia Easley and also Miss Doris Lewis, who's a beloved elder of the community. They want to make statements, as well as others have submitted statements, about the impact of this proposal on the stability of Illinois homes, Illinois families. That's whether you are a Black American, a white American, a Hispanic American, or a recent immigrant. But we know that mass immigration has a negative impact on the Black American community particularly, and enough is enough. Ms. Easley?
Yes, my name is Patricia P. Ray Easley, E-A-S-L-E-Y. I am the candidate, the Republican candidate for the 7th Congressional District, congressional seats, as well as the founder of Chicago Red. In 1869, Frederick Douglass stated that immigration was one of the biggest hindrances to Negro wealth and wages in this country. When we talk about the impact of immigration, a lot of times people want to frame that in the context of low-skilled workers. However, H-1B visas are not taking low-skilled jobs. These are actually jobs for educated people. I saw a notice down in Jackson, Mississippi, where they were looking for an H-1B visa holder to work as an English teacher in a Jackson high school, where we have all of those colleges in Jackson, Mississippi.
You hear that? An H-1B visa holder to work as a fucking English teacher in a country full of people that speak English. You hear that shit? A H-1B visa holder needed for a fucking English teacher in a native English-speaking country. So when I tell y'all that they'll go through any lengths not to hire a nigga, and in Jackson, Mississippi, of all places, one of the blackest fucking cities on the map. So when I tell y'all they'll do anything not to hire a nigga, there's proof right there. You just heard it come out of her mouth. There's proof right there.
And here in the city of Chicago, we have multiple universities that are graduating trained professionals every December and June. So we have no reason to import any part of our workforce because we have a ready and prepared workforce here. We should not be exporting our jobs to the third world in order to build their economies when we need to make sure that Americans are able to earn wages and pay taxes within our own country. It is not fair that this congressman wants to outsource our labor market, but because he doesn't care about us, we have to show him that we don't care about him. The American people are sticking together, and we want our people to work first because American dollars deserve to stay in the United States of America.
Thank you. I think what Ms. Easley is highlighting is that Raja Krishnamoorthi is running for the U.S. Senate as a Democrat. And what we know is that in the last 4 years of the Biden administration, we know that mass immigration, illegal in particular, was cloaked as legal immigration. We know that our country has relied upon H-1B visas and as a result has displaced displaced Americans across the country, and particularly here in Illinois. I'm Pamela Denise Long, running for U.S. Senate, and what I want you to know is that Raja Krishnamurthy has placed the interests of foreign countries above the interests of the American citizen, as well as above the interests of the folks we've invited into our country on visas, who are here to help us fill jobs and gaps, legitimate gaps that are here. As Ms. Easley highlighted, we have universities across the nation who are graduating STEM graduates who cannot find a job here. We know that discrimination in hiring is also a significant barrier to our own citizens, new and old alike, for them finding robust job placement, for them having depressed wages, for burdens on our housing infrastructure and the like, and all of that needs to change. Ms. Doris Lewis, who's a former educator, has talked about and thought about the impact of mass immigration, both legal and illegal, and the disconnect between what Raja Krishnamurthy is proposing in terms of increased visas, as well as what Dick Durbin is proposing in terms of an amnesty for illegal aliens. Let's have a conversation here about education discrimination. Ms. Lewis.
Well, my name is Doris Lewis. I'm a former teacher and counselor at the Chicago Board of Education, and to
Man, the sound on that video is killing me, but y'all get the point. Y'all get the point. Let's see her other videos. Damn, she got some interesting videos here. So y'all go and subscribe to that. All right, man. There you have it. There's Pamela Denise Long. Certainly a very unique GOP candidate. We'll be following her progress. Hopefully, this message gets disseminated amongst larger content creators, so we can help get out the fundraiser and get out the vote for her. And hopefully platforms like this becomes a trend inside of the GOP. Yeah. It's been a Black Pill PSA. Peace.